Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Final Score, coming to you on this NFL Wildcard Sunday. And we're going to be talking about our top 10 quarterbacks this week. The Ravens and Lamar prompted this discussion, so we're excited. So let's get right into it. So our clear-cut consensus number one is Daniel Jones.
Yep, agreed.
Dwayne Haskins.
Maybe Dwayne Haskins. Any
The
others?
lead don't
Nick
mess up.
Foles.
Nick Foles. Nate Sudfeld.
Oh,
I feel
don't
like
even
it's a
talk to me about
disrespect to
Nate
put Nick
Sudfeld.
Foles in the same group as those three, honestly. I mean, at least he's like average, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I feel like this year he was a lot worse.
Yeah, he was really
Yeah.
bad this year.
But I'd still, I mean, like if you're a team that has absolutely zero quarterbacks, I'd take Nick Foles over.
I think you got to give.
I'd take Daniel Jones over Foles, but over
Haskins.
Haskins
Yeah.
and Sudfeld, yeah. I'll
I
take
think
Yeah, I
this
agree with
player
that.
in his prime is better than Mahomes, and that's Nate Peterman.
Nate beat it. I forgot he even existed. But
So-
anyways, let's get into our number one. It's Patrick Mahomes, reigning
Yep.
Super Bowl MVP. He just has a different level that he can take his game to that almost no one else can. It feels like, and he can make throws that are just unrivaled. So I mean, it's clearly Pat Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So number two for me, it's the guy who is looking like he'll be the MVP this year, Aaron Rodgers.
Agreed.
I 100% agree.
Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too.
All right. So that's
I don't feel like there was much debate on the top
Yeah.
two. I think Rodgers and Mahomes, though, are almost like underappreciated to a certain extent.
their greatness.
Yeah, because I feel like
Patrick
Mahomes
Mahomes goes on. I feel like Patrick Mahomes, like, they just expect it now, so when they do it, they're not as impressed.
I don't think people talk about Mahomes like he's going to be the LeBron or Jordan of football or like Brady, because I think if you look at his success compared to other all-time greats, he's doing it sooner, and he's
Right.
doing it at
I
absolutely
I
unreal
agree.
levels.
Bleacher Report hypes up LaMelo Ball more than they hype up Mahomes.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Mahomes is the best athlete right now. Well, not athlete. That's different.
Yeah,
He's the
I
best
know what you
player.
mean. I know what you
Sorry.
mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
all
no,
of
I'd
us,
agree with
yeah.
that. Yeah, definitely. And Rodgers too. I mean, he's a guy that coming off last season, Packers make it to the NFC Championship game, but Rodgers had a little bit of a down year last year as far as stats and production goes, and it's been a couple years now where we haven't seen Rodgers at his peak. So he comes out this year and just dominates start to finish. What is he at,
Especially
49
after-
touchdowns or something like
Is
that?
there a chance that the only reason Jordan Love was drafted was to make Aaron Rodgers angry?
No.
No, but it definitely seemed to help. But
Isn't it weird that their first two draft picks this year, neither of them play?
Well, yeah, but I think
Yeah.
they draft AJ Dillon was a good draft pick.
I don't think
Aaron
they're.
Jones,
I don't
they're
think
gonna
they'll
let him
keep
walk.
Aaron Jones. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think they will, especially after drafting Dillon in the
yeah,
second
and
round.
Dylan looked promising too at the end of the season.
Jordan Love is still a questionable pick to me.
Yeah,
Agreed. They needed either some wide help or help on the defense side.
for a team that was clearly going to be a championship contender this year, to draft a backup quarterback when you have one of the game's best who is showing no signs of slowing down. That's a good question. How much longer do you think Rodgers has of being an elite quarterback like
How
this?
old is he now?
I want to say 36 or 37, but I'll look that up.
I don't.
What do
Of
you guys
elite
think?
lattice, so are we saying still a top 5 quarterback? Is that what we're going to qualify as
He's
elite?
37.
He doesn't have a lot left.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah,
He's got about 1 or 2 more years because.
Of elite quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't even know. I mean, Breeze
Next
is
year, I
like,
think
what,
he'll-
39? But they're
Breeze
different
has
players.
been
Breeze
out
also
of
Yeah.
line for a little while.
I still think at the very least Rodgers is going to be insanely accurate.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I think Rodgers, I'd give him maybe 2 more years of being a top tier, and then you'll see him be still an above average, but not.
I don't
the
think
Aaron
he's going to
Rodgers
play
we're
as
used to.
long though as Brady is. I feel like we only are going to have like 3, maybe 4 seasons left of Rodgers.
You think
'Cause
so?
I don't see him playing like Brady does.
Yeah, maybe
where
not.
Brady just keeps going.
His game's a little
Brady
different.
also never gets hit.
Yeah.
Rodgers is a little bit more reliant on arm strength and his mobility than some of the other quarterbacks of pretty much Tom Brady and Breeze. But he's a little bit more reliant on those things than those guys. But right now, he's clearly at the top of his game. He should be MVP this season. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a question.
And then it's
Yeah.
no question for who's at the 3 spot with Russ.
Russell Wilson, yeah, I'm going to agree there. Dylan's making a face. What do you think?
I was looking at Pro Football Network's rankings, and
Yep.
they have Tom Brady at 6, which I don't know. I find that a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I agree there. You know what's interesting? Aaron Rodgers coming into the season, I forget who did the rankings, but he was outside of the top. What was it? Top 10 or top something?
Probably Skip Bayless.
Even so, despite having a bad last year, I still feel like that's inexcusable to have him outside of the top 10.
But-
That's
top 10?
Or it was. I think it was more than top 10. I don't remember, but I remember.
what was it, Bleacher?
I remember listening to a Matthew Berry podcast on this actually because he was talking about how the last time Aaron Rodgers fell outside of that ranking in preseason, he ended up winning MVP the following year, which is funny because
it happened.
it happened again this year. So whether or not that's actually a motivating factor for Rodgers, who knows?
My
but
3 is Wilson, but I don't feel that confident about that 3 because first half of the season, Russell Wilson was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL.
yeah,
Yes.
Second half of the season, Russell Wilson is not a top 10 quarterback.
That's a stretch.
I
That's a
disagree.
big stretch.
Because they still won. They still
I
won.
don't know. I don't know about not top 10, but
They
he
still won.
not
five-
top 5.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree.
No, they're not top 5.
If
But
he's
they-
not top 10, he's 10th or 9th because
But they
I
won-
really feel like he was terrible.
They did win 5 out of the last 6 games, though.
Yeah, but that's despite Russell Wilson. It wasn't because
His
Russell
production
Wilson had
took a big drop
relatively
off. Yeah.
decent
And he struggled
schedule.
heavily.
Yeah.
Granted,
Yeah.
the Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, but in a game that your team has to have, Russ did not
Let
show
Russ
up.
cook. I don't know. I think Russell Wilson. I don't know what it is, but something switched this season, and he just didn't look like the same player out there.
Yeah,
The second half of the season.
Yeah.
it felt like a
I agree.
change in their game plan almost because
They turned like more run heavy.
well, no, I don't think so. I think in the beginning of the season they had a good balance where they were running the ball enough,
And
but it was
chucking
mostly
them.
Russ.
They were throwing a lot of deep balls.
Exactly.
Which that sort of went down as the season progressed.
And then I feel like once Russ got really hot, and then they kind of abandoned the run, and they also had the Chris Carson injury, so they were
I
rolling
think
with
running
DJ
backs
Dallas.
are kind of
But
obsolete for Seattle. Like they can just throw in anybody and they'll be decent.
yeah, but there's a big production difference between Chris Carson and whoever
Oh,
else is
yeah,
on
yeah.
the side, or
Yeah,
DJ Dallas.
yeah, but
but
Chris
even
Carson-
Hyde missed games. But
I've
Carson
never
was-
been a huge Carson fan, but
He's a top 12 to 15 running back.
I mean, what are we looking at though? So if Wilson is 3, is there anything we can attribute to if he continues down this trend?
Yep.
I don't think he's. I feel like a lot of quarterbacks are just going to jump him, and he'll be kind of
I don't
what
know
Rodgers was looking last year, which is maybe a little bit outside of the top 10.
Yeah.
If he continues on this trend, because like I said, second half of the season, lots of quarterbacks I'd take over him.
I
I'm
was
gonna agree.
really surprised too that it wasn't just a regular season. In the playoff game yesterday, he
I-
did not look good.
No, he looked
Yeah.
terrible.
Like if you even look
that
over
pick
this,
six was-
if we're arguing for top 10, other quarterbacks that are in contention: Allen, Watson, Brady, Tannehill, Herbert,
Brady's
Jackson.
not going to surpass Russell Wilson.
Stafford,
at this point
you
in
know.
his career.
That
I feel like even Baker Mayfield looked better in the second half of the season than Russell Wilson.
Baker Mayfield's not a better quarterback.
No, he's
let's
not.
make that
He's
clear.
not.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm saying if you're
But
just
yeah.
taking that, Wilson was not top 10 quarterback second half of the season.
Russ did really struggle yesterday. That was really bad.
To your point of guys that could jump him, I mean, I think Josh Allen's already close. Like,
Yeah,
Josh Allen
I
has
agree
been
with that.
phenomenal. Deshaun Watson could be in that conversation if he got
Especially
on a
if he gets
team with
traded.
some weapons. You
If
got
it-
guys like
yeah.
Burrow and Herbert coming up. So, Wilson, it depends on the Russ that we get. I mean, right now I'm still going to put him as my number 3, but I agree that I'm not super confident about it.
So number 4, you
I
Skip
it's a
it
two-
past the Wilson talk, or because I was
We
going to
just
say I
had
feel like
it.
Well, no, I was going to say that my number 4 here I think will be number 3 by next year. I guess I was
Okay.
transitioning. Here.
Okay.
I
Who's
think
that?
Watson, especially if he gets a better.
Disagree.
team
I'm gonna put Josh Allen.
I
at
agree
four.
with Jaden.
If Watson goes to San Francisco or any other team, I think he's held back by the fact that Houston
I
is
think if you're a top 5
horrible
quarterback,
organization.
if you're a top 5, I mean, yeah, he's a top 5 quarterback, but you got to think. I know they had a rough situation with the front office and everything, but they didn't have a bad offense, and they didn't even come
Well-
close to making the playoffs.
Well, I'm gonna. It's definitely between Deshaun and Josh Allen here. To
I
me,
take Allen.
there's a clear cut.
I think it's definitely 4 and 5,
But
but I don't think Josh Allen just won a playoff game and
Okay.
they're the 2 seed
here's the point to
with a
this.
dominant offense.
Look at Josh Allen last year without Stephon Diggs. Because Stephon Diggs is miles better than any receiver the Texans had. The Texans had a decimated, terrible offensive line.
Yes.
Yes, but
They had
Will
Will Fuller.
did play really
Will
good.
Fuller is
He's
good,
nowhere
but he's
near
not a
Stephon
number one.
Diggs.
No,
Not even
He's one of the
close.
best route runners in the league, and he's a great playmaker.
Diggs is a truly elite wide receiver. Will Fuller is a good number 2. And
Really
and
good
they have.
Yeah,
I
really
mean,
good.
Brandon Cooks is
He can
solid,
be a wide one
but
on a
he's
team. He's not
Yeah.
going to be an elite wide one, but he's a wide one.
Yeah, I agree.
Brandon
Will Fuller?
Cooks?
He can.
Will
no,
Fuller.
Will Fuller.
Oh,
He's-
no, he's a
no,
wide
he's not.
receiver.
He's a wide 2.
Name a team with other than the Chiefs. Name a team with a wide receiver 2 as good as Will Fuller.
A wide receiver 2 as good as Will Fuller?
Yeah.
You mean the wide receiver 1?
No,
No, wide
because you're
Wide
saying
receiver
he
two,
could be a
'cause you're
wide
saying
1.
he would be a wide 2. So what team has as
You
good as
put
a
you
wide
put him
2?
on a lot of teams.
A lot of
he's
teams.
A
The
wide
Falcons,
one.
the Buccaneers, actually those are the only 2 I can think of off the top of my head. But
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
but teams with 2 good wide receivers.
But
The
put him
fact
on a
is,
lot of
Will
teams,
Fuller's
he's
not
the best
enough.
wide on the team. Put him
Yes.
on Giants, Jets. I mean,
That's fine, but if you're comparing Watson and Allen's production, and Allen has a truly elite wide receiver, and Watson has nothing close, like
Justin Jefferson's better than Will Fuller, or will be.
yeah,
Yeah.
he already
Yeah,
is better
agreed.
than Will Fuller. I would
DK's
say
better than. Oh yeah, DK.
DK and Lockett. Will Fuller's he's a number 1.
he seems to have this
Cooper Cup.
He's
is
number
better.
1. Yeah, Cooper Kupp's better. He's a number 1 on an average offense, not on an elite offense like the Bills.
I'll give you it.
So what is your point that you're trying to make?
I don't know what point you're trying to make about. Are you saying? Here's the fact of the matter. Let's get back to Watson and
Yeah,
less
yeah,
from
yeah.
the Will Fuller podcast. Deshaun Watson. Josh
I'm just
Allen
saying
has
he
a.
had weapons.
I'm
That's what I was
talking
trying
here.
to say.
Josh Allen
I cut you
has
off.
a lot of weapons. Deshaun Watson, his best playmaker, got traded. DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the league, but that's up for debate. He now has nobody there. David Johnson, who's like
Just so you know, that's wrong. Just keep
that's fine. David Johnson, who's a complete veteran. Brandon Cooks, who's a veteran and not the same player he used to be. Will Fuller, who's made of glass. And now Deshaun has nobody. He barely has an offensive line besides Tunsil.
Okay,
and
but
he's
you said Will
still
Fuller's
Man,
made
and
of
he's
glass?
still
Will Fuller
with
didn't get
the
injured.
Yeah, he didn't get
It's
injured.
because he was on
suspended.
PEDs.
yeah, and he's still the best third.
Exactly.
He's still the third best quarterback in the league. With
Yeah.
all these things being taken away from him, horrible coaching,
Third?
horrible moves in
Third?
the offseason.
Third?
Yeah, fourth. I'm sorry. I think
There
he
you go.
will be the third. I
Okay.
think of him. He's
Dylan,
probably
you're wrong. Josh Allen's
I'd
better.
if
Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards this year. He had 4,800 passing yards
And they didn't
with
even-
no weapons.
Fuller wasn't even there for the last 4 games. It was Cooks
Yeah.
and
Kiki Cutie was
Yeah.
his second best wide receiver. Like,
I don't understand how you can make the argument. It's not Watson in a team like San Francisco is easily the third and maybe even the
I
second best
think
quarterback in
Deshaun-
the league.
Deshaun needs to be put in the right system for me to say he's better than Josh Allen right now.
Because Josh Allen's on a
I
successful.
think that's the whole argument here. He's not in the right system and he's doing this well.
And that's what I'm saying. But to me, I'm looking more at the playoffs, and Josh Allen to me right now is better than
the
Deshaun
playoffs
Watson.
don't matter when it comes to rankings. If
The
we're going,
playoffs
Yes, it
what,
does
is
matter.
what has Josh Allen done in the playoffs?
if we're
Except
going
he
by
won his first
rankings,
playoff
if we're
game
going by
yesterday.
rankings, Russell Wilson's below Watson. If we're talking about playoffs or something,
What?
because
Watson
Wilson
didn't even
has-
make the playoffs.
no, I know, but if we're including the playoffs, Wilson isn't even top 3 anymore
Well,
because he looked terrible. So if we're talking about playoffs,
Yeah, but it
Wilson
does,
is
What
not
kind of
top.
argument is that?
Dylan, it does affect it a little bit. Like,
And how does
success-
Josh Allen
success on a
exactly
team-
leap Watson in the
Take
playoffs too?
Success in a team
Yeah.
does.
take yesterday's playoff. Deshaun Watson beat Josh Allen in the playoffs last year, and he came back
So you
at a
think the
halftime
fourth
deficit.
best quarterback in the NFL right now, he didn't even make the playoffs?
And he did
Because
That's
his
not
team and his organization is horrible, and
They
he's
won
probably going to
4
request a
games or
trade.
5 games.
With terrible, but Josh Allen. Look at Josh Allen last year. I mean, the Bills had a much better
But
team last year than the Texans did this year, and Josh Allen's production was nowhere near what it is this year.
But Josh Allen is an MVP.
I'm not hating Josh Allen. I
Yeah.
just think
That's a
Watson
good
is
point.
He's an
better.
Josh Allen's
MVP candidate.
MVP candidate.
Deshaun's not.
I like Josh Allen.
Explain it.
Because Allen had a lot more weapons this year, so his
And they won
production's going to be
games.
higher.
Have you ever seen an MVP candidate on a team that has a below 500 record? No.
That's
Exactly.
That's the exact
But
point Jaden
That
that's
said.
doesn't
not
mean that Josh Allen
Watson's
is a better
fault.
quarterback.
But here's the problem. Josh Allen is on a successful team.
That comes down to coaching and
That
roster.
is a Super Bowl contender.
Jimmy
If you put
Garoppolo.
Deshaun Watson on
Jimmy
the Bills,
Garoppolo.
they are
How many
worse
games
than
did the
they are with
49ers
Josh
win
Allen.
last year?
Like 13.
49ers with 13-3 last year. We saying Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, better than Russell Wilson, better than any
We're
of
not
those
saying
guys
that
that finished
record.
much
Okay,
But
better?
you're
We're
saying record comes down to the
No,
ultimate
we're
impact
not.
of the quarterback.
We're saying a top 5 quarterback to me, and I do think he's the 5th best, but I think they should overcome the. Yeah, 5th. That's the entire point we're making.
Dylan, it's
I
4th and
keep
5 right
thinking
now.
I'm thinking a third.
I think you should be able to overcome the odds. If you're going to put him at the 4th best quarterback in the league and he can't even get to the playoffs, when he's in a really bad situation with the front office and the management, but that team isn't like complete. There's a lot worse teams. I mean,
in my
the
opinion,
Seahawks,
It's a dumpster fire.
I don't think there are a lot worse teams.
David
There's
Johnson
maybe 2 or
is
3.
maybe a top 20 running back. Like
If you
maybe
ask me-
20th.
if you ask
Will
me,
Fuller
if
is
you put
not
Patrick-
a wide receiver 1,
if you
and
put
Cooks
Patrick
is a
Mah-
wide receiver 3.
oh my gosh.
if you put Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers on the Texans, they're both in the playoffs.
Do you think they're in the playoffs? Mahomes
think
maybe. Rodgers would be close.
They'd have more than 4 or 5 wins.
You put okay. Let's
I
make
don't
this.
know.
Let's make this argument.
losing
Those
to-
two are the best
but
in the
they're
league.
losing to
Okay,
bad
let's
teams.
make this argument. Josh Allen on the Texans, same situation as Deshaun Watson.
But they won
Also,
another game.
Texans
One more game.
offense wasn't even the problem. Texans offense put up a ton of points. Their defense surrendered everything.
You put Deshaun Watson on the Bills, and they're worse than they are with Josh
I
Allen.
100%
That's the
agree.
point.
I
That's the point.
100%
I
agree.
disagree. I disagree, but it would be close.
Deshaun's not going to have that same connection with Diggs, which is a huge part for the Bills.
Okay, yeah.
But their
you could
system's
argue
also
that you
built
put Mahomes
better.
on the Packers and they're worse because he wouldn't have the same connections with Devontae Adams that Rodgers has. Like, different quarterbacks are built for different systems. The Bills are also built to run with Josh Allen, and Deshaun Watson isn't.
I don't
he's
even think Deshaun
extremely
Watson's
mobile,
being
but
used
he's
to
not.
his whole potential. Like he's in
Yeah.
a terrible system. You put Watson under Shanahan, you will see that he is, I think, the 3rd best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But
So,
you'll
I
see
mean,
he's
I
better
don't
than
think
Josh
they're gonna.
Allen.
Neither of us are going to budge on this. So.
It's close. Like I can definitely see Deshaun in a better system being better, but right now,
now he's
from what
not.
I saw from him this year, even though he led the league in passing
You know what? I'm
yards,
changing my rankings, by the way. I think Watson's probably better than Wilson.
well, that,
It's a bold take.
yeah, that's.
He might be,
Wilson-
but
He's
I
better than
can't
Russell
put him there
Wilson,
after
who
this
made
year.
Wilson
playoffs
looked
with a
like
dis-
garbage his second
Yeah, but
half of the season.
Disgustingly
winning
awful
games.
defense.
And they
I'm
have a
not
terrible
talking
defense,
about
too.
winning games. I'm
Although
talking
what I
about
will
pure
say is,
quarterback
if
play.
you put Deshaun Watson on the Seahawks with DK and Lockett and
yeah,
whoever
Watson,
they
I
have,
think would probably win more games.
I disagree. Their
disagree,
defense is terrible,
yeah.
and that's the only reason the Seahawks lose games.
Yeah.
But
It's because of their
regardless,
defense.
Give Watson Hopkins back or give him DK and Lockett. Texans are in the playoffs.
absolutely. Texans haven't missed the playoffs
hold on.
in years.
Okay, I'm gonna you're telling me 2 wide receivers is gonna make them win 6 more
That's
games.
because last year they
6
had
more
DeAndre
games.
Hopkins and they made the playoffs.
Yeah, we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, maybe not
What?
Lockett and Metcalf. You said Lockett and Metcalf.
So you're saying
Yeah,
Lockett
so-
and Metcalf together can't match Hopkins' production?
Yeah.
What?
They
Wait,
absolutely
I'm
can.
But I'm saying Hopkins.
I'm gonna
I'm not
What type
saying.
of question is
I'm
that?
not saying, but I'm saying like Hopkins is like. I don't know if I'd rather have Devontae than DK.
We're not
I-
talking about that. We said
no.
if
You
he
said
get-
Hopkins is better than Devontae.
so-
I
We're not
yeah,
saying
but I
who would
wasn't
you
talking
have.
about
We're
that.
saying matching production. So
Yeah,
you
I'd
said
rather DK and
with
Lockett for
with
me.
Hopkins he could do it, but not with DK and Lockett. So you give him 2
But
weapons.
they also had a better defense last year. The Texans. did.
Not really.
Yeah, they did. JJ Watt was
A little bit
much
better,
better
a
last
little bit
year.
A little bit better.
Their defense
but,
was horrid this
They
year.
still would have, I think, in their division.
Dylan, they were one of the
could've
worst.
competed
They
for a
were
wild
like
card
they gave up
easily.
more
Like
points
I
than
said,
any
guys,
defense.
I don't want to put
They
him
still
above a
could have made the playoffs.
Here's
this
my
year.
reason for having Josh Allen above Deshaun Watson right now. I don't feel comfortable putting a quarterback who missed the playoffs, regardless of circumstances, because he was fully healthy, ahead of a quarterback who was an MVP candidate, took a huge leap, and
Josh
had
Allen's great.
insane
He's my
connection
number
with his wide receiver.
5.
So that's just where I'm at. Will I budge in the future if Deshaun's on a better team? Yeah, I definitely could. But right now, I'm going to.
I like Josh. I'm the
quarterback who's
counterpoint.
more
I'll talk
proven.
about Josh Allen a little bit because he's my number 5, and Watson's probably your guy's number 5.
Yeah.
I like Josh Allen a lot. I think he's a great quarterback, and I'm glad that he's proving haters wrong because
Yeah.
a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't seem to like him.
Yeah.
However, once again, games on the line, I take Watson. Still, I
I
think
would
Josh
agree with
Allen is
that.
prone to making some mistakes, and I like Josh Allen a lot, and I think he's great. McDermott's built a great system around Josh Allen. I still think Watson's a better quarterback. That's
So
just
I'm gonna agree there.
I don't
disagree.
think any of us are going to budge, at least for the moment.
So Dylan and I will have Watson at 4, Allen at 5.
actually
You
I
two
got
have-
Watson at 3.
Okay. Well, Allen's your 5th. Allen's my 5th. Watson's at 4. So you guys are gonna have Allen at 4 and Watson
Right.
at 5.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. But before we move on, let's talk about Deshaun Watson in the trade situation because
Yeah.
there's rumors starting to
If
surface
he goes
about
to the
him
Saints,
wanting it.
that'll be
I've heard
scary.
about Miami as potential.
Yeah. So where what do you think is the best fit for Deshaun?
I'd
Saints.
like.
San Francisco.
Saints.
Yeah, I might have to agree with Dylan.
I think that
I think the Saints are probably the best fit
Yeah.
because don't get me wrong, San Fran would be a great fit too, but you put him on the Saints with their defense plus Kamara and Michael Thomas, they're
they're going to be
instant Super
True,
Bowl
true,
contender.
yeah.
they're
I'll
way
agree.
better than the Niners.
Although the Niners would also be a much better team.
That was
Yeah.
a Super Bowl team just last year.
Because
had a ton
they have
injuries.
tons of weapons in their own right? I mean, they got Kittle. They have young receivers who looked really
Ayuk.
good this year, like Ayuk and who's the other one? Debo Samuel.
And Shanahan's an
And
excellent.
they got
Oh,
Kittle.
yeah.
And they got Kittle.
Yeah. So
I could also see teams like there was a Bleacher Report article about potentially Miami not loving what they see out of Tua and
Yeah.
and then Houston taking a chance. They're putting together a package. Do you guys see any sort of outside teams like that making a play? That you
I
wouldn't
could
really
see
expect?
Miami definitely has the draft capital to get it done in Miami, and the Texans have made deals before. They made the Laramie Tunsil deal together. So, I mean, I could see it happening. For Deshaun, though, I wouldn't say Miami's the best fit because the lack of weapons that they have for him would be similar
Yeah,
to
it's a better
Houston.
fit.
But
Like-
granted, they do have a much better defense.
Yeah, their defense is one of the top in the league, and he would need weapons because they're a really great team with a great coach. So if he can get some weapons in Miami, they'd be
Yeah.
really dangerous.
So what about we've spent a lot of time on
Okay,
these two
so
quarterbacks.
number 6, I actually have to look who I have on my list.
I
I'm not
have
sure.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I
Oh,
agree.
yeah.
I have Dak.
I think that he,
Oh,
All right.
That was an ad. I was looking up. I was looking at my quarterback rankings.
Okay, all right. So I have Dak at 6. I know Jaden and Anthony
Yep.
agree with me. Dylan, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm not Dylan, but I'm going to agree with
I
Dak.
agree.
You said,
Yeah,
Anthony,
I
you
said
said you
you
agree.
I
guys
agree. I
agree.
think Dak showed a lot in those first 4 games. Is that how many he played? 4 games.
Five,
Yeah.
right?
4 or 5.
He looked incredible.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
like he was going for an MVP season.
Yeah, Dak. Yeah, he's clearly over the rest of the competition, in my opinion. Which, when Dak first, what was it, maybe 2 years ago, I was not too much
I
of a
thought he was
believer in
average.
Dak. I thought he
Yeah.
was average, but
I
he
agree.
has gained my respect both on and off the field. But
I
he's
hope he comes
definitely
back
a great
strong
quarterback.
with that injury.
So
Cowboys are
we all
win this division if they have Dak, and it's not even a competition, I think.
I agree. Because
Think about it. They were
only
one.
they
game.
were like
They were
1 and
they were
3.
one game
They were
out
one
with
game-
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, but they were one game out with Andy Dalton.
True.
And with
So-
they had a
But
few games
the
with Derek
division will
Gilbert.
probably be much better next year. If
Oh, yeah,
football
next-
teams
Oh
can
yeah,
get a QB.
yeah.
We say that every year.
So we all agree
But
with
next
that.
year's a year.
So we all agree with that. So now number 7, me and Anthony, I think, have Kyler. I think.
So the guys I'd look at for number 7, it's close between. To me, it's a 3-man race. It would be Kyler, Herbert, and Lamar.
I agree.
and-
I'm gonna throw one more guy in there. He's not my 7, but Tannehill.
Oh yeah, Tannehill.
Oh, Tannehill,
Tannehill is in that discussion. To me, he's a little bit below, but he's right there. Out of those 3, Herbert will be the best out of those 3.
I
I think
definitely
that. I
agree.
think that.
Definitely.
But I'm not gonna give it to him quite yet. I'm gonna give it
To
to.
Kyler.
Give it
Give
to
it to
Lamar.
Kyler.
I'm giving it to Lamar, by the way.
Kyler.
I'm gonna give it to Kyler. I'd rather have Kyler than
Ooh.
Lamar.
I 100% agree.
All right, so it's going to be
This isn't a
3v1
Lamar
here.
Jackson hate podcast
No.
because I like Lamar Jackson.
Lamar
I
is my
don't.
favorite player in the league, not the Giants.
Lamar's probably my 8 right now.
So you're saying Kyler is better than a quarterback? Who
I'm
was a
taking Kyler right now.
So you guys are all saying he's better than Lamar, who was touchdown leader last year, first team
But
All
we're
Pro.
talking about this year.
Okay, then I'm just saying in total, rushing record, he has multiple 1,000 rushing seasons. Youngest quarterback ever with a perfect passing rating.
He's a
youngest
great running
in the
back.
league.
Yeah. Okay, here's
He's
the
a
thing.
great running back.
He is. Lamar is a system quarterback. He's in a
I
perfect
agree.
system for him. The Ravens' offensive line and defense is fantastic.
Yeah, they're going to cater to their quarterback.
Of course, their running back is fantastic. But I'm saying on the Ravens, Lamar's a better fit because what he does is tailor made for that offense. But
I'll make it kind of point.
If
Kyler's
I'm
in that
taking-
system. I think they might be a little bit better because Kyler has a better arm.
Yeah,
Kyler's not quite as dynamic as a runner, and I think what
But-
they
That's
do is
true. That's true.
so run focused.
But they also do have bad wides, so they need a good thrower. And Lamar only threw 2,700 yards.
To
and
me-
No.
Kyler threw like 3.
I do have a
30.
quick question.
Lamar's better on the Ravens. I don't think that's.
So are you guys saying quarterback of just who you think's a better passer, or who you just
Quarterback.
legitimately think's
Everything.
better?
What
Better. I'm saying better.
what I would say for this,
I'd
what
rather
I'm
have
taking for
Kyler
this
on my
discussion
team.
is same reason I picked Deshaun over Josh Allen, is because my rankings kind of come down to who would I take on any given team,
Yeah.
and on any given team outside of the Ravens,
Kyler.
I'd rather have Kyler because Kyler's a much
Entirely
better
different
thrower.
argument. Same reason I've always liked Peyton Manning more than Tom Brady because I think Tom Brady's more of a system quarterback.
You think Peyton's better than Tom Brady?
From pure talent, yeah.
Yeah, but nah.
I think Rodgers is better than Tom Brady if we're talking pure talent.
Yeah, but we're talking about the greatest, and I
Yeah.
think that's
I'm
Brady.
No
Not-
disrespect to Brady,
Yeah,
but
but I think he's a system quarterback. I think without Belichick, he
he
doesn't win
benefited.
that much.
Yeah.
But
See,
I know that. But here's my point: Lamar is a system quarterback,
100%.
agreed.
I think if you put him on the Cardinals, they'd lose a lot more games.
and I
Because
like
he can't
Lamar.
throw.
I think the Ravens are great with Lamar, and they can win a Super Bowl.
I
think Lamar can win a Super Bowl.
I
A
just
lot of
think-
people won't say that, but you ask me right now, who do I start my team with? I'll take Kyler because I
Kyler's-
feel like if I'm taking Lamar, it hinders me
I
because
100%
he
agree.
can't pass the same way
Right.
other quarterbacks.
No, yeah,
So that
Kyler's
means
a
you
way
could-
better passer.
You have to build your offense a completely different way with Lamar because you're a run-first offense,
Mhm.
even with the QB.
You
On
need
a-
to have a dominant line and a great run
Yeah,
game.
if
and
they
great
had a bad
defense.
line, Lamar would not be as good.
On another team, like if you put like Kyler or Lamar on a different team, yeah, Kyler's probably the better quarterback. But for the positions they're both in, I just think Lamar is better. Like even if the Cardinals continue to get better and their defense gets better, because Kyler has all the assets he needs.
I also think Kyler's kind of held back by Kingsbury. too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and a disgustingly bad
I
defense.
just think Lamar in his first, he got put in halfway through the season, and he had to learn the playbook as he went along. Won like 6 out of his last 8 games, made the playoffs, had MVP last year and made the playoffs. Has
I
missed
like
playoffs,
Lamar.
and then he just got his first playoff one.
I like Lamar, but same point I just made. Who am I starting my team with? Kyler, because I feel like Lamar is hindered.
and it's
Agreed.
and
I guess I just go off of what I've seen.
and with the
instead of
playoffs,
that.
it's impossible. It's really hard for Kyler to take the Cardinals to the playoffs when they give up so many points to their defense.
And their offensive
He has-
line struggles. And
Their
Cliff
offensive line's
Kingsbury
bad. He has
is-
a bad coach and
bad
a
play
terrible
calling.
defense. It's hard to make the playoffs with all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have good assets, but that can only take you so far.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Lamar's going to definitively be better for like forever. Kyler can definitely be better because he's a much better passer. But I just think I rank my quarterbacks based off of what I've seen. That's why I have Allen above Watson personally for me right now, and that's why I have Lamar above Kyler because I like what I've seen out of Lamar more than I like what I've seen out of Kyler.
That makes
So that's
sense.
our
It's
7 and 8
just
for
a
reference,
different.
right? Like
yeah.
you guys all have Lamar.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have Lamar
Yeah.
at 8.
Yeah.
It's just a different thought process, I guess, because
Hang on, Jay,
we're
didn't you
thinking
say
more in
Lamar
teams.
Wasn't a top 10. I thought
No.
you said that.
That was in our group chat. That was Anthony's
Oh.
mistake.
I think Lamar's
a while
top
ago.
8, but yeah.
So yeah, I've got Kyler at 7. I've got Lamar at 8, and it's close though because to me the number 8 is Justin Herbert, or number 9. I mean,
Oh, gotcha.
Lamar's at 8. Number 9 to me is Justin Herbert.
Herbert will jump them, I think, next year.
Herbert has all the looks of being a top 5 quarterback, and I mean his arm strength is tremendous. He makes throws sometimes that are almost reminiscent of Mahomes, like
Yeah.
being able to throw on the run and hit spots like he can. He did, he was prone to mistakes in his rookie year a little bit, but
Rookie season, I mean.
yeah, exactly.
He-
Like
And
even
not a
Mahomes,
great
as good
coach
as he
with Anthony
was in
Lynn.
his kind of rookie year, he still had 1 year to learn under Alex Smith.
Right.
I think
So
this
this
is going
is-
to change a
yeah.
lot next year. I do think Lamar's
Yeah.
going to fall down to 9 or 10 next year, and
I think
I feel
he
like
might
Lamar will
jump
stay in
because
the
I think
same
I
spot
think he's
he is
going to get a
kinda.
wide receiver.
I think that Herbert will be better than Lamar next year.
I can
I
definitely
agree
see
with
that.
I
And I
think.
don't think anything else will change.
Well,
Well,
a
you'll
lot can
see
change
Burrow
year.
in the top
Yeah.
10 next year. I
a
think.
lot can
Yeah.
change in a year.
Yeah.
He was going to be on my.
Not to mention
next
whoever
year's.
the rookie quarterbacks are, what Trevor Lawrence does, what
Yeah,
that's
Justin
true.
Field does. I mean,
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Yes, Allen Robinson on the team. You never
Robinson.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so I mean, Herbert was incredible in this his rookie season. And just a quick side tangent, unrelated to the top 10 quarterback discussion, but there's been a lot of talk about the head coaching vacancies and which is the most appealing. And
Chargers.
to me, it's the Chargers because of Herbert. I mean, they also have tons of pieces on that offense.
Keenan
like
Allen,
agree.
Mike Williams, Hunter Henry,
Austin Eckler. And their defense
Decent,
was
yeah.
bad, but they have enough decent players on defense that if they come in, get a couple personnel changes, get the right head coach, I mean, the Chargers could easily be a serious playoff team next year.
Yeah.
Jaguars are just appealable because they have so many.
They
I
have
think they've
cap
got a lot of
space and
picks,
Trevor
cap
Lawrence.
space.
Their
and-
cap space is
Lawrence.
unreal.
I think it's really. I think Herbert will definitely make a big jump next year in the quarterbacks. I mean, even this year, he had 6 or 7 games over 300 passing yards in 6 games with 3 or more touchdowns.
And he started like week 3? Is that when he?
No,
came
he
in?
started.
Week 2.
We
Wait. I can't remember.
I
All I
don't
know is
remember, yeah.
Tyrod's doctor messed up and then
Wait a
Herbert
minute.
went in.
Wow, Herbert threw 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, and not even a full season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
ridiculous.
absurd.
Herbert was fantastic this year. So I mean, I think he's our number 9 for all of us, and
Yeah.
he'll probably be top 5 next
Who's
year
our
or
number
right around
10?
there.
I know who my number 10 is.
Me, it's gonna be Ryan
Tannehill.
Tannehill.
Tannehill,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tannehill looked once he got out of Adam Gase's system, which really is terrible. I mean, good to see Adam Gase got fired because he's awful.
Oh
But
my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, Jets fans probably hate him more now because he actually won them games at the end of the year.
yeah,
I
Which was
know.
his job to not do.
right. So Tannehill was fantastic. Showed great connection with AJ Brown, and I was rooting for the Titans in this game against Baltimore. It was tough to see that game and the way they did. Tannehill ends up throwing a pick on a ball that his receiver tripped and fell. So
And Henry played like garbage.
yeah.
he
That
got
is the
taken
one
out of the
limitation of
game.
Tannehill, and I said this earlier. I think he's kind of only as good as the rushing attack is
Yeah.
because he relies a lot on play action and other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
He's a great quarterback and he's very efficient. I just think
And
He
much
isn't
better as a
like-
runner than I expected.
he's also
too.
a little bit of a system quarterback.
Yeah, I'd agree
So-
with that. So then, who else is in that discussion of the next available? I mean, Joe Burrow
I
in
think
limited
Burrow
action
probably
looked
would
like
have
it.
been- I think
Stafford.
Burrow might have taken that
Yeah.
10 spot if he wasn't injured.
Yeah, I'm
That
a
is a
Stafford
great.
fan.
That is a
Stafford,
great
I do
point.
like
he
Stafford.
is so underrated.
Stafford
He is, yeah.
who I'd have as an honorable mention too.
What about Baker?
He's not as good as
Not
Stafford. Or
there.
who was the other guy we just met? Burrow. He's not as good as
I
Stafford or Burrow, but
Yeah.
he is
I
there.
struggle with Baker because he's even when he's playing good, I still don't trust him.
Yeah.
There's also other guys. I'm looking at a list right now. Other guys who are kind of close. I don't think Big Ben's that close.
No.
No.
I don't think Cousins is that close. I don't
No.
think Breeze is that close.
Brady.
Actually, yeah,
Brady.
that's the other honorable mention. Brady. He should be still.
Philip
considered.
Rivers
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
close.
No. Rivers is not close to the top 10. So
We all
your-
seem to
your
be down on
honorable
Brady in
mention
this
would be-
podcast, which other podcasts might not be. Brady, I think, is still an honorable mention. He's got to be considered
Yeah.
close to that.
Yeah, and
top
Brady
10.
can
Yeah.
be a quarterback on a winning team. No
Yeah.
question about that.
He could win a Super Bowl this year.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think he will, but they can.
But they could. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at that next tier of guys being Stafford, Brady, Baker, and
You know,
Burrow. I think Burrow is obviously the most likely to
The
jump
biggest
next year.
fallout this year, and we'll start wrapping it up soon, but the biggest fallout this year is last year I probably would have had Carson Wentz in my
Agreed.
top 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Carson Wentz.
Now he's not even top 20.
If he
Yeah.
gets
Now
to the Colts,
Sudfield took his place.
Oh, that's another guy we didn't talk about is Jalen Hurts. Do we think? I mean, he's not right now,
no.
but do you think maybe next year
No.
he could be?
nah, I don't see.
I
top
don't
10.
see him breaking
I
that.
could
Actually,
see him being on the borderline though.
I think he could be.
He
an
showed-
honorable
he showed
mention.
enough.
we can
He
definitely.
could be an
I think
honorable
he could
mention.
be, yeah.
Match Baker Mayfield's production from this year.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
okay, he
he
can match
could.
Baker's
Yeah.
production.
Yeah, who's
I mean, and we have him as an honorable mention, so I think he could
But I
definitely.
feel like
be
there's
in
going to
those
be a
I
couple of
agree.
quarterbacks
Yeah,
that are coming
quarterbacks
into
will
the league
increase
next
next year.
year. So
I do.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a guy I think who we briefly talked about could make a jump down to the bottom tier of the top 10 above Tannehill. It won't happen, but I just wish Stafford would get into a right
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
because I think
He's a
he's
great
such
quarterback.
a great quarterback.
Tua's another
And he's
guy
just
who
put
he, had,
such a
he didn't have a
spot.
great rookie season, but a lot of great quarterbacks haven't had great rookie
Yeah.
seasons. I don't.
I gotta be
not a
honest,
huge Tua fan personally, but there is the potential that he breaks.
I didn't
Yeah.
see a ton of flashes for me.
To me, again, I compare it to Josh Allen in his rookie year, and even last year. Without weapons, I think you need to give Tua 2 to 3 years, get him some weapons, and then you can make your judgment on him. But I think he can be a good starting quarterback in the NFL, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
absolutely.
So what I just want to wrap up with is talk about the quarterback position for next year because there's going to be a lot of movement in the offseason. Carson Wentz is almost a sure bet to get traded. We talked about the possibility of Deshaun. But then you got guys like Stafford,
Cam
Matt
Newton.
Ryan, Cam Newton are all free agents. And then also guys, lower tier guys like Mitch, Jameis, like guys like that. But who do you think has the highest I guess Wentz would probably have the highest potential out of those guys.
Well, Deshaun.
I think the highest teams.
Well, obviously Deshaun,
I think
but-
the best teams that you want to look to make moves this offseason are. I bet you the Bears will stick with Trubisky, but
the Saints should.
Actually,
Football
no,
team-
Bears came out today and they
football
said they're
team-
not going to retain Trubisky unless he goes on a long playoff run.
Yeah.
football team, Bears, Colts,
Saints.
Niners.
Saints, Niners, and
Potentially.
I think I'm missing one.
Patriots. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the team. Yeah.
Falcons will probably draft one Lions.
I don't think that's a hot destination though.
No,
Yeah.
I know that.
I was gonna say Stafford. Is he definitely free agent this
Yeah,
year?
yep. So what I was gonna say is, who is the most attractive to you out of those guys between Wentz, Cam, Stafford, and who is the other one? Matt Ryan. I mean, obviously Deshaun is the best, but out of those four,
Probably Stafford.
Yeah, it's either
But-
Wentz or Stafford.
Wentz is close because I still feel like Wentz still has that top 10 player in him. He's
Yeah.
just broken mentally this year.
don't forget Wentz was playing at an MVP level in his Super Bowl season before
And
they
he was
got
great
hurt.
last year too.
Yeah, so I think if you saw Carson Wentz go to a team like the Colts or even the Niners,
Patriots.
see the Patriots to me, they don't have the weapon. I mean, their offensive line is terrible. They had no weapons.
Yeah.
Like, for,
And they still look decent. That's a testament to
Yeah.
Belichick.
yeah, that's the same reason I'm not willing to give up on Cam yet is because of the situation for the Patriots last year.
I don't know.
But-
I'm almost done with Cam. I don't really see a
Think so?
huge comeback season for him.
I think he'll probably be a high level backup.
He deserves another shot. I think.
I do. I think that someone like
Football team.
the football team.
See him as a backup on a team like the Saints, maybe.
I see him being
Yeah.
a high end backup or a low end.
Yeah, they'd love to use him in the run game like they used Taysom.
And I think I'd rather, if I was Cam Newton, be a high end backup on a team
Yeah.
with an injury prone quarterback because that gives you more of a chance. That's just me. But if he's a low end player, you know what I mean? Like, he's
Right.
gonna be on a bad team.
I think he showed this
Go ahead.
year that because at one time, if you put Cam just about anywhere, regardless of the weapons, he would have been highly effective. But he's not at that point in his career anymore. Like he needs to be in the right system, the right weapons around him. But yeah, so I would agree with Wentz probably being. I would take Wentz as the most attractive because I think his upside's the highest. But Stafford is an underrated quarterback. And
I would probably say Stafford.
I would say Stafford.
Yeah, I'd
has
say
more
I'd take
potential like Carson
Stafford.
Wentz.
You think
Just
so?
because he's already Wentz is still.
Yeah,
a
that's
couple
true. He's already
questions.
really good.
Stafford, you immediately know. I
I'd
think if
love to
Stafford's
see-
I would
on
just
the-
opt with the
Actually,
younger
let's
guy.
put
I
this
think
up
for
for
me.
reference. Stafford's on a team like the Colts.
I think that's where Wentz
Colts
should be.
could be a playoff, like Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
And I mean that honestly because Rivers was not good this year.
Well, at the end of the year, Rivers did
I
play
guess
a
he
lot
was
better.
okay, but he wasn't good in the
even
playoffs yesterday.
Yeah, no, he struggled.
You put Stafford in there, I think, considering
Yeah.
how good their team already
That
is
should play
around.
Deshaun.
I guess I think of Wentz, and Wentz to me seems like a perfect fit for the Colts because you get him with a quarterback coach like Frank
That's where I
Reich,
think he'll end up too. Yeah.
and if you could, Wentz
Frank
has
Reich
the
used to
Wentz has
be-
the highest potential.
Didn't
out
Reich
of
used
those
to be
guys.
with Wentz?
I don't know.
Yeah, he used to be on Peter. He was Peterson's coordinator, I believe.
Was he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that Wentz on the Colts. Wentz has the highest upside out of any of those guys to me
Stafford's
because
but you know Stafford is going to be.
Stafford has the highest
Yeah.
floor. Yeah, I'd agree. But I just would go with the guy with the highest
Yeah,
upside.
I'd
but
agree with the outside.
It'll definitely be interesting to see what unfolds with the quarterback situation next year with the free agents, trade markets, and even the young guys coming in with the draft. So that'll definitely be excited to see. But unless you guys have anything else, that's going to wrap up for today. We got what's going on in the Saints-Bears game right now?
Bears have the ball down 7-3 with 2 minutes left in the first half.
Surprisingly close. So we'll see what happens. Pretty soon we'll be recapping the actions from week 1, round 1, and we'll be talking about our round 2 predictions as well. But we want to thank everyone for joining us again today. This has been
The final score.